still very weak, but she has made tremendous progress. Dory Iverson is in OSU Medical in Tulsa. They're supposed to do a medical procedure in the morning, I think. Is that right? It's one of the all of a sudden deals. So you got to have a procedure done in the morning for a test. Any other announcements anybody has?
Yeah, you know, Edie and Clara, they come to all our youth stuff.
Yeah.
Their grandpa's had some blood work come back, and they think he has blood cancer.
Yeah, he has cancer. Caleb told me what it
What do
was.
you call it? Multiple? Caleb told me the name of it. What was it?
Something myeloma or something.
His kidneys are failing, and
Yeah. Anyway, a couple girls that come here. Claire, one of them is
Claire works for Jennifer.
she works for Jennifer, and her and Caleb's kind of sweet on each other. I think. Don't tell nobody I said that. Her grandpa is diagnosed with some kind of cancer. Multiple myeloma, is that a name? I think that's it. But anyway, whatever it is, it's serious. So,
Tasha's grandma again.
do what now?
Tasha is grandma again.
Tasha is
Today.
grandma again.
Yeah, got a little girl born about noon.
Another girl.
Well, they had a boy.
They had a boy. Okay, go ahead. They got a girl this
It's a
time.
girl this time, yeah, about noon.
I knew she was getting pretty old.
Yeah, she's getting there. That's how come I said it that way.
I already ever go in the bank, and I went there today, and she wasn't in there.
Yeah,
And I
that's
said,
right.
girl, was Tasha on vacation? Vacation was last week. She said, I don't know where she at today.
So she's-
So maybe she's moving. So that's supposed to come up pretty soon. So anyway, Tasha's grandma again. That makes you a great
I
grandma.
know, I wasn't gonna say it.
Again.
Yes.
Yeah, again.
That's why I said it the way I did.
Now, I noticed that. Any other announcements anybody has? So our potluck dinner is the 14th, is that right? Something close to that? And don't forget that. We're in Mark chapter 1. I wasn't here, you done something else different last week?
Yeah, I didn't bother to work.
Okay. I wasn't able to be here last week. Me and Becky we almost got back in time. We liked a little bit being back in time. It's awesome. Verse 35. Mark chapter 1, verse 35. This last time we was here about Jesus healing his mother-in-law. And others, and then this from there in verse 35 says, in the early morning while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went away to a secluded place and was praying there. Simon and his companions searched for him. They found him and said, everyone is looking for you. He said to them, let us go somewhere else to towns nearby, so that I may preach there also, for that is what I came for. So Jesus had to sneak out of the house, sneak away, just to find a time to pray by himself. And whenever the disciples figured it out that he was gone, they finally located him and said, everybody's looking for you. At this point in time, he's in very high demand, not only for his teaching, but also for his healing of those who are ill or have different types of ailments. So then let's go into other town where I can preach there also. He said, verse 39, he went into the synagogues throughout all Galilee, preaching and casting out the demons. Verse 40 said, and a leper came to Jesus, beseeching him and falling on his knees before him and saying, if you are willing, you can make me clean. Moved with compassion, Jesus stretched out his hand and touched him and said to him, I am willing, be cleansed. Immediately the leprosy left him and he was cleansed. And he sternly warned him and immediately sent him away. And he said to him, see that you say nothing to anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest, and offer for your cleansing what Moses commanded, as a testimony to them. But he went out and began to proclaim it freely, and to spread the news around, to such an extent that Jesus could no longer publicly enter a city, but stayed out in unpopulated areas, and they were coming to him from everywhere. Okay, this particular one here is about leper. Leper, I understand now that there is a cure for leprosy, but I'm not. At that time, there was no cure for leprosy. If you were diagnosed with leprosy, you were not to come in contact with anybody. In fact, if history is right, you were to call out if someone came near you. You was to call out to them, tell them, I'm unclean. Don't get close to me. I've got leprosy. You remember that one occasion in the Old Testament, that man's name was Naaman. Excuse me, not Naaman, but Naaman, you know, and he was a guy of great authority, and yet he had leprosy. And he went to God's prophet, and he said, go dip in the river Jordan 7 times, and he didn't really want to, but he did, and he was cleansed, not till he did everything that the prophet told him. This man comes in and he's crying out to Jesus, and falls on his knees and says, if you're willing, you can make me clean. And Jesus does something that was a thing that you didn't do in that day and time. He reached out and he touched him. Because contact was how that was most easily spread by skin-to-skin contact with a leper. You could catch leprosy from them. He reached out and touched him. And he got clean in a week or two. Is that what it says? Immediately. Yeah, immediately. You know, now we go to the doctor and we've got illness. And used to they give you a shot, but the shot's kind of outdated. You know? They give you a whole sack full of pills and take these pills so many times a day. And usually, if we're really lucky in a week or two, well, we're a whole lot better, isn't it right?
If you got antibiotics.
Yeah. You know, we may start feeling better, but it's usually a while before we are completely recovered. This man was completely recovered immediately. Immediately.
Virgil?
Yes, sir.
What's the very first phrase in verse 41? Jesus was what?
Mine says, moved with compassion.
Mine says Jesus was indignant.
Mine says moved with compassion. What translation are you reading?
NIV?
Oh, well, that's explains it, I guess. I don't know. I don't have an NIV, so I can't. I've got several English Standard Versions. This is the New American Standard Version. I've got the New King James, got the Old King James home. I've got some others that's, some of them's all right, some of them's not worth anything. But I don't have the NIV, so.
But to me, the two phrases are opposites.
Yes.
I was
Now,
wondering.
that one there may be the most accurate. I don't know, but I'm just reading. This is New American Standard. Has anybody got an Old King James? Janice does.
I do.
What does it say?
Moved with compassion.
Move with compassion.
Virgil, I think this came up one day in the women's class too, and it was NIV and Luke talking about the same event.
Okay.
About him being moved with compassion. Maybe not this event, but him
Yeah.
being moved with compassion, and it said indignant.
It says indignant. Maybe the word indignant does it have a different meaning than what we? Has anybody got a Google machine to see what the word indignant means?
I'm looking for it, hang on. No, don't hang on, I'll tell you when I find it.
But
This one
anyway,
says, showing anger or indignation, especially at something unjust or wrong.
showing anger,
That's like opposite.
huh?
That's almost opposite.
That's kind of opposite of compassion, isn't it?
Well, expressing strong displeasure at something considered unjust.
Okay, so, something unjust, okay, and maybe that's,
So I
you know,
consider
probably no one deserved to have leprosy, you know, maybe this guy didn't deserve to have leprosy. That's, so if that's the case, then it's not really as far off as we think it, we think, Leland.
That's okay, I just,
Okay, well, that's good, you know, move with compassion, or indignant, if indignant means, you know, a strong feeling about something that's unjust, that's,
This says, this is AI. What does indignant mean biblically? It says indignation is a strong emotional response of deep displeasure, anger, or moral revulsion aroused by something considered unjust, wicked, or insulting.
right,
So that's quite a bit there,
right?
so.
So it sounds like the NIV is right.
Whatever you think.
That's what she just said.
The English Standard Version says moved with pity.
Move with pity, the English Standard Version does. Okay. I think they're all basically saying the same thing, it just, maybe the word, when we think of indignant, we don't think of having compassion, we think someone, we're just looking down on somebody, you know.
He was looking down on the problem that he had.
The indignant part was about the problem he had
Yeah.
and
Not him.
not him himself, okay?
He just felt bad for the guy.
He felt bad for the guy, that's what it should have said, wasn't it? That's Rochelle's version right there. Yes, he touched him, and once he told him to go show the priest.
You had to
Good
hear him
worship.
say,
Huh?
Couldn't worship with leprosy.
He couldn't worship with leprosy. That's what they were told to do, was go show themselves to the priest. And the priest would look at them. If they were clean, he would declare them unclean. And then they could go back to worshiping in the synagogue or wherever, and also being associated with family and friends.
That was the Jewish law.
That was the Jewish law.
you had to be declared clean.
Now, there's a whole big description of all different kinds of stuff in the Old Testament about what might be leprosy and what might not be leprosy. And if it looks like this, and you got to wait so long, it looks like this, it could be, and it's some of them don't understand, you know.
Yeah. Today, or if they had like psoriasis or something like that,
Yeah.
that can make you think he was.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. If it's got this, then it's probably not leprosy. It's something else. That's what it's basically trying to tell you.
Okay, the word for compassion,
Okay?
it's a Greek word about this long,
Okay?
and it does mean to be compassionate or moved with compassion.
Okay?
Well, if you had somebody kneeling in front of you and then they're covered in leprosy and his demeanor is so humble in front of Jesus, you know, I mean, it would be hard not to be compassionate towards
Yeah.
somebody like that.
Yes.
It would be, I would say somebody's very unfeeling, unsympathetic if they didn't have compassion in
Yeah.
that instance.
Yes. You know, even today, you can see someone you don't even know is having, you know, really bad physical trouble, or, you know, and unless you're really hard-hearted, you know, you're going to feel compassion on that fellow, you know, maybe not the fellow, but whoever they are, you know. Whether it's you know, I saw a fellow not too long ago, don't remember exactly where we were at. We were going in and out of the store somewhere, and he was holding the door for everybody. He was coming in, and he had, one of his legs was deformed, he just barely could stand. And I said, well, here, I'll get the door, and you go on, I've got the door. And he held the door to everybody that was coming and going right then, got in, and then he went on in. But, I thought, well, I already been helping you, that was the feeling I had, But he was helping everybody else go in and out that door, because he was fixed to go in. And, but he was really incapacitated on one leg, really bad. It just wasn't right. But physically, but he was bound and determined, he was gonna hold that door open for everybody else. He did.
Doesn't, if you have compassion for someone, doesn't that prompt you to do something for that person?
Yes. If it had been Doug standing there holding the door and Doug standing there, I just walked on out and said thank you and kept on going. I wouldn't feel sorry for him. But this other guy here, he was barely able to stand himself, but yet he was willing to hold the door because there were several people going in and out at the same time. And I wasn't the only one that offered to hold the door and let him go on in. Everybody felt the same way. Doug, I wasn't picking on you, but that's you was in my sights. So
Virgil, this might be a little far-fetched, but I wonder if it's because of the question he says, are you willing? Because that's what he says, I am
Okay.
willing. And that somebody would be treated so badly that nobody would be willing to touch them.
But
Well-
it showed the leper's faith in Jesus.
yeah, Jesus wouldn't have had to touch him.
Right.
But he didn't know that, but even that, but evidently he's heard about Jesus and he's heard about healings. So he has enough. He said, if you're willing, if you will, I won't be clean. If you're willing, you can make me clean. I have faith that you can do it.
He evidently wasn't really ready, he didn't want him to tell anybody about it because he wasn't ready for that to be spread.
Well, see, he was having trouble already.
Yeah.
He can't go in town. He's trying to leave. He had to go other places, and he just swarmed. Which was a natural thing that happened. But here you have people who have. We talk about going to the doctor a while ago. We can get cured or at least get some relief from almost every ailment we can think of. In that day and time, there were very few cures for anything, or relief for anything. Very few medicines. There were doctors, but they were very limited because they didn't have the knowledge to cure very much.
Virgil,
Yeah.
Jesus knew that he had a limited time to finish preaching to people.
Yes.
So that was why he didn't want the guy to tell anyone, because it would hinder him from preaching to others.
That was one of the major problems that he had while on earth, was that so many people wanted to either be a part of a miracle as far as being healed, or people wanted to see a miracle on somebody else, such as someone being healed or getting free food, and they didn't necessarily want to hear his message. They wanted to see a show. In many cases.
He really didn't have that much time left to preach.
And he didn't have, like I say, he knew how much time he was going to be here, see. And so time was of the essence to get his word out.
Performing the miracles led them to faith.
Yes.
That he was who he was, but he wanted to tell them, some of the changes in his life.
Yeah. But like this stuff here, he said, don't go spread it. You need to go see the priest right now. Because that's what the law said. If you for some reason was healed of leprosy, you had to go show yourself the priest. And there were, besides showing yourself the priest, there were other things they had to do, and it's been a while since I read it to know all the procedures they had to go through. But the priest had to declare him clean.
Virgil,
Yes.
when it talks about the sacrifices that he had to offer,
Okay?
Numbers 19 gives a description of what is called the sacrifice of the red heifer.
Okay?
And that's the sacrifice that he would have had to offer after he was cleansed of the leprosy. Now he then had to offer that sacrifice of the red heifer in order to be able to worship.
Okay?
There is a strong set of parallels between that sacrifice from the standpoint of, and there's a lot of connection between leprosy, the physical leprosy, and sin representing almost a spiritual leprosy.
Okay?
Because sin keeps us from worshiping God acceptably. And so baptism, when we are baptized into Christ, then we are allowed to worship God acceptably.
Right.
And so this sacrifice of the red heifer gave the worshiper in that day the ability to then worship God acceptably. So he would have had to have offered the sacrifice of the red heifer, and then after that offer the burnt offering and all the other offerings that would follow that, for any other average person.
Okay? You think people we have it complicated today as far as worship is concerned. It's nothing compared to what they had to do for different sins and what have you. It's pretty complicated.
If anybody's interested, Numbers 19 is where the full description of that sacrifice of the red heifer is.
Okay? Numbers 19.
Bob, when they had leprosy, they couldn't go offer sacrifices, could they?
No. Couldn't.
They had to be pronounced clean.
Next week is singing that. So anyway, the next week we'll start on